didn't say you have to have a camera. You have a camera. Oh, hey, John.
I love this. That's what it's all about, you know? And you come back, you do this all night, you know? So it's kind of good. It's fun. It's fun.
What is it that you do?
I work on Apaches. Apache helicopters? Yeah. And I'm about to actually go to Afghanistan here in June, so I got not very much time to have fun out here, so that's why we try to do it, you know. Hey, you want to go drag? Sure.
Have you been deployed before?
Yes, ma'am, to Iraq, north of Baghdad. Yeah, we did IOF 9 through 10. Yeah, it was pretty good. Nothing bad happened. We didn't lose anybody, so it was a good turn. Hopefully this year it's the same thing. Things are starting to calm down. Maybe not so much Afghanistan, you know, but
that's
Iraq,
not really calm right now.
No, exactly. Afghanistan's it's still got some work to be done, but.
Are you afraid?
So it's what I get paid for, you know. So I can have food on the table for the wife and the kid, you know. So.
How old is your kid?
About 3 weeks. So yeah, got something to look forward to. I'm a dad now, and I'll be able to pass my truck down as well. So
you're leaving your kid and your wife?
Have to. Duty calls. Yeah, but it's all right.
3174, an area of this yes, sir. Any area to locate this location. Thank you, sir. Last known location and time on the key. 6106 for the jail.
We got about 15 or 20 911 phone calls, all within just a minute or two of each other. There's a gunfight, and there's this huge gun battle taking place in the courtyard between all the buildings where there's kids and there's people, and of course, you know, lots and lots of folks live there. And this was still in the middle of the daytime, like almost lunchtime. So we sent all my guys over there, and I went with them as the supervisor that was working that day. And what we found was the entire courtyard, all the grass and everything was all torn up, as if somebody had been shooting a machine gun or something out in the courtyard. And when we found him, he was obviously taking a lot of medication, and he had a little bit of alcohol. He wasn't really drunk, kind of dazed, a little, at first didn't even realize why we were there. This guy had come back from being in Iraq. He had an assault rifle, and he said that he just needed to hear. He was stressed, and in order to relax, he just needed to hear the sound of gunfire.
What's that guy standing right like he got a gun or something right here at the okay, he's running across the street.
Okay.
You see him?
No, I didn't, but I will.
All right.
Put it down. Put it down. 356, hold track. Turn around.
I wanted my parents to be proud of me. I just wanted to jump out of airplanes. That's what I always told my recruiters. I just want to jump out of airplanes. Like, that sounds cool. Like, jump out of airplanes, shoot cool guns. Like, man, that sounds awesome. I mean, the only life that I knew was my high school life.
I always wanted to join the military. I wanted to see explosions and see the big guns fire and all that stuff when I was a kid. It's one of the easiest jobs that you can have because they tell you what to do, they tell you how to dress, they tell you everything that you need to do. You just listen and go from there.
My first tour was a lot of kicking down doors, going house to house. It's fun. Kick down a door and everyone's scared, and I don't know, it's exciting. Definitely fun. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just kind of just go back into the swing of things. But I think alcohol helps. I just drink a lot now. But if someone says something to me, like a bar or something, I may get in more fights than I used to, but that's about it.
But I never knew anything about his, the PSTD or PSTD. Did I say it right? So I never knew he had all those problems or nothing. And some people come back from 4 or 5 deployments, they're just fine, unless they're hiding it really good like him, and then all of a sudden it just, everything comes out. It was probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I came home, and it's like his truck was in the driveway, parked all crooked and crazy and everything. It's like, oh, maybe he went out last night or something. I come in and unlock the door, and you usually just lock the bottom one. And it's like, oh, the top one's locked too. Unlock it, walk in through the door, and it happened right here. I walk in, and all that I see is feet, laying in the hallway, and then I see like little red and brown spots and stuff. And my first thought is, oh, he got drunk last night and he's passed out on the floor, or he was moving something heavy and he tripped and he hurt himself. And I come over to him, and then I see my .45 pistol laying on the floor, and just, out the side of his head and everything, and just blood everywhere, blood all over the floor, blood all over the couch. So I, just kind of touched him and kicked his foot once, and she's like, oh, what the fuck? It's like I've seen dead people before, but not dead people by their own hand in my house. So, he was a good-looking guy, and he'd sit there and smile all the time and everything, and just real outgoing.
There were 7 confirmed in 2003, 5 in 2004, 9 in 2005. 3 in 2006, 6 in 2007, 14 in 2008, and 11 in 2009. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19 confirmed suicides at Fort Hood in 2010. I guess I should say the number of suicides of soldiers assigned to Fort Hood, because these happened on and off post. The soldier killed himself in Temple, one of the neighboring towns, in a public restaurant. And, you know, this guy was in a park in Round Rock, a town near Austin, next to a school. I mean, obviously they all have issues that they couldn't get help for or they didn't seek help for. So this is the story about the soldier who was found dead at the memorial on post. It's, with things like this, it's usually, I find more success in being sort of slow and steady, and I get to put in the time. A lot of people can't do that reporter-wise, so they have to kind of get all they can as fast as they can, but since I'm here, I can take it a little more slow, maybe get more of the information, the good information over time, so we're still looking into that.
But was that a big thing here?
Where he did it, yes. That's the first time that someone has taken their life or reportedly taken their life at a place like that on post. I think this is the first time that it was at a public and very recognizable place. I mean, it was very symbolic, obviously.
What's it like being a soldier living in Killeen? It almost feels like the closest thing is it's like jail. You're associated with the military some way if you're in Killeen. I mean, some way you're either in the military or you're related to someone that's there. Otherwise, it's really hard to believe why you're here.
If the military post was to shut down, this whole city would die. And it's just so sad to see these people in the businesses all dependent on the military, and they really have no knowledge of what they're really doing and, you know, the things that are really going on. It's just, they see a soldier and they instantly assume like, oh, they're heroes, they're doing great things for our country, blah, 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 but little do they know, like, they're not.
He was arrested Wednesday after the owners of a gun shop became suspicious when the man bought 6 pounds of smokeless gunpowder. It was the same store where 2009 shooting suspect Nidal Hassan bought his weapon. Abdo had taken a taxi to the gun shop. He also visited an Army surplus store and bought a uniform with Fort Hood unit patches. Police say it was clear Abdo was hatching a terror plot and may have been close to pulling it off.
I used to throw a whole bunch of these things over there. I killed a lot of people with these things.
I'm a sniper. Our job is to eliminate threats before other people move in. So the building was supposed to be empty. We got there, and I saw this woman with her kid. I wish I didn't see them. Commanding officer says to me, take the shot. And then I took the shot. I killed the mother and her kid. I want to be a father. I think about it at night when the booze wears off. I mean, am I worthy of being a father? I just shot a mother and a kid.
Home of the free because of the brave. Sometimes our society forgets that. It's the only thing I can find a cause worth fighting for. You feel honor in it.
Stop 911, what is your emergency?
A guy shot himself in the men's bathroom here at Subway. The 440, upper old 440.
The Subway on Old 440?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he shot himself in the bathroom?
He shot himself in the bathroom. The bullet in the can was laying on the floor. He's moving a little bit.
He is moving? Is he conscious? Is he able to speak to you?
He's not. This is 911 on the phone. He's moving around a little.
But he's not conscious. Okay, but he is breathing, correct?
Blood everywhere.
He is breathing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there is blood everywhere?
Yes, ma'am. There's a lot of blood coming out. You gotta hurry.
Yes, we have gotten a call on it. They are on their way, okay? So you don't know where he shot himself at?
He shot himself in the head.
In the head? Okay.
And the gun is sitting on the floor.
Did he arrive at the subway by himself? Do you know?
Yes, ma'am. As far as I know he came through the line. He just walked in the door and said, "Where's your bathroom?"
I left the hospital and everything and started to come back home. I don't know, for some reason I just had to go. And when I walked in the restaurant, there was a young girl there. And I just asked the girl, I said, "Hon," I said, "I need to know, did a soldier commit suicide here?" And she goes, "Well, I can't say anything." And I just looked at her and I said, "Hon, I'm the mother of that soldier. And I want you to thank you for what aid that y'all did." And I said, "But he didn't survive." And she started crying. "I love you, Mom. I'm so sorry. I hope you and the family and God can forgive me." That's what he sent. That was it. And he had sent that to me at 5:43 on the 6th. And they said at 10 minutes after 6 is when he shot himself. He wanted to follow family traditions. There's military pretty much on all for both sides of the family for the men, Army and Air Force. And he said he wanted something to challenge him and make him a man. After basic training, Douglas changed a lot. I could tell that he really grew up. He did. The second tour is when he came back a mess. He was having nightmares really bad. He said he would see things, and he would think about it a lot. At that time, they didn't really know that this was going on with Douglas because he didn't tell them. Because he'd been talking to some other people that were having problems, that they were being looked upon like they were meek and worthless. The Army actually told him that. They even told my son that when he told him he had problems. They told him that he was worthless and would never amount to anything. You need to get it fixed and straighten up, and he had to be stronger or he would never be anything. It was in February when he called me and talked about going AWOL, and I told him that was the wrong thing to do. I said, "Son, you joined the military." I said, "They own you." And I said, "You need to find another way instead of going AWOL." But he didn't listen to me. He went ahead and made the decision to leave anyway. He was actually arrested on that Sunday. And he went back to the base, and that's when I found out that they read him his court-martial charges. And I asked him, I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Well, Mama, it looks like I might be going to prison."
You wouldn't go AWOL or desert. You wouldn't leave all your buddies behind. It's like traitor. It's like treason. The penalty, if you desert in a time of war, the penalty is death. When you're told to do something, do it, you know. I have freedom. It's called an ambiogram. It means it says it this way and also that way. I have death before dishonor, the shotgun, M203, because I would rather die before I dishonor my
Really?
country. Yeah.
Like, really?
Really? Like really.
What do you like about your country so much?
It's the best country in the world. It's gotta be. Look at it.
Welcome to Fort Hood Spotlight, keeping you in touch with what's happening on the world's largest military installation, Fort Hood, Texas.
Three Corps returning to Fort Hood in February after spending the past year in Iraq. During a recent press conference, Three Corps Commander Lieutenant General Bob Coe told us Fort Hood soldiers have been working hard as part of Operation New Dawn, getting the Iraqis ready to take charge of their own country.
A soldier AWOL from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, who the Army says has admitted to plotting an attack on Fort Hood, Texas, the same sprawling base where 13 people were killed in 2009.
Our military forces here are the strongest anywhere because it's a volunteer army. Everybody in the army wants to join the army, or at least doesn't have any other options.
There is a huge amount of soldiers coming and going here at all times. It is the biggest base. It's also a main deployment base. They train here for a couple of months, and then they deploy from here. And we have soldiers here that have gone 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's crazy. I never wanted to come to Killeen. I just saw it and I thought, God, what a sad little town. I see soldiers and I get sad. I see a group of women at Starbucks and I get sad. Because I know what they're gonna go through or what they're going through. There's a quote that's my favorite quote, and it says, you know, in war there are no unwounded soldiers. Everybody's affected. And they're just in different degrees.
But you were married to a soldier, right?
Yes. And that's how I know. And I work with soldiers, so I know. There's the train now. So this is Under the Hood Cafe. It's always been an anti-war coffee house. I am anti-war. My politics are pretty to the left. People have called me a traitor. You know, protesters are evil, especially in a town like Killeen where the brass has a very strong hand. They're moving my chairs around. Now boy. I decided to make it more like a house because a lot of the soldiers need human contact. And so this is somewhere they could come and feel at home.
Bar said, I'm gonna stick my penis in that thing.
We have veterans that are in this area because they feel they can't go home.
It's either black or white.
Because their families just don't understand. And they're like, and we don't want to take home our issues. We don't want to be a burden, I guess, to their family. And so they stay here.
I joined because I had problems at home. My mother had just been admitted to a psychiatric ward, and I was 16. And then when I turned 17, I took my mom to the recruiter, and she told me she was real loopy. She didn't know what she was doing, but she signed for me, and the recruiter was cool. And so I went off, and my dad was in Korea at the time. That's why. Otherwise, you know, I didn't have anybody here. I'm a military brat, so all my extended relatives are halfway across the United States. And the only reason why I'm here is because my dad was in the Army, and, you know, and then he went to Korea. I'm here with my mom. My mom goes crazy. I have nothing but the Army is an option. This is cool. I knew I was going to go to Iraq when I joined. There was no, like, I'm not gonna lie to myself. I hadn't expected to lose a bit of my mind myself, you know. It was constant, like, it was so far removed from reality, and it was such a bombardment for me, my young mind or whatever. I came home and I couldn't get back in sync with anything, you know? Go back to living a normal life and worrying about parking tickets and, you know, bills and these things, when really you just have to wake up and get shot at and go to bed, you know what I mean? And I thought if I went back to Iraq, I could get away for a year. So I volunteered for my second deployment. Sometimes I feel like I should have died over there, because I saw some people who had died, and I saw people get blown up and stuff, and being so close to it, it doesn't make sense that I should be so close to this and it shouldn't be. Like, what's the determining, what is it about, you know, what is it? Why? It doesn't make sense, but more often I'm just afraid. Just afraid of the things I've seen, even though I know they probably won't, like, come, they're not gonna come get me. I just, I mean, what if they did? This is for anxiety, this is for headaches, this is for sleep, this is a tranquilizer too if I have any episodes. Xanax would cause me blackouts, clozapine did not. So they prescribed me Klonopin, which has been a nightmare because I can't get off of it. Abilify is kind of, they use it as a tranquilizer for me, because sometimes I'll have episodes where I won't be able to, like, something will trigger me in which I'll just keep on working and working and working relentlessly for like 72 hours until I'm just so exhausted and I can take this and I'll chill out. They kept saying on the news that we were rebuilding Iraq, we were working to rebuild Iraq. I was kind of sick of hearing CNN and Fox News like bark at each other about one saying, oh, it's good, things are going good, and the other side saying, no, there's horrible things going on in Iraq. And I kind of wanted to see it for myself. You know, I joined the military when I was 18. I turned 19 in basic training. See you later. Awesome, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like halfway through my tour, I told my unit that I wasn't willing to kill any human beings. My sergeant major said that, ask him this one question: are you willing to do your job? If I was to say no, it would have been like, oh, this guy's being insubordinate, throw him in jail. You know what I mean? So, like, I came to the conclusion, like, they're basically enslaving me here. I have to say yes. You know, I'm actually walking through town with a rifle, but instead I'm using my camera. I do that real quick. Oh, this is one of the girls. That it's her town. One bullet, they don't know where it went, but the other bullet hit a little girl in the shoulder. And she ended up dying from that shoulder injury. It was the last, like, bit of happiness I had. I was to a breaking point. I was, you know, near suicidal. Yeah. And during that period, they sent me to a chaplain. I sat and talked to a chaplain for about 2 hours, and he tried to basically convince me that killing's okay. Those idiots put a soldier who obviously was having a conflict of conscience back into the battlefield, you know, not knowing whether, you know, I'm gonna pull the trigger or not. If you're in that situation where you're having that struggle, you're going on that struggle alone. Yeah, and what am I gonna call my mom and tell her that I'm struggling with that stuff? I was gonna be bawling her eyes out. You know what I mean? Like, who am I gonna talk to about it? You know what I mean? Just block that out right there. I'm just gonna get down. I fucking don't give a fuck. Oh my god, that was relax.
Just for the money. Tax-free. Come home with like $35,000, which is not that much, but depends if it's worth it if you come home alive and with limbs.
There's a soldier's creed. It says, I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough. Trained proficient in my warrior tasks and drills. I'll always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. Here. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I'm a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier.
Do you need to know that by heart?
By heart. Every word, by heart.
We have seen the beginning of the Iraqi war. We've seen many go, and we've seen less come back.
They are all excited about going, and they get these wartime tattoos, and they're ready.
And then they'll come back a year later, and there's such an emptiness, such a forsakenness in their eyes.
Sometimes they'll talk, and sometimes they won't. We don't prod them to talk. We'll ask, you know, what is this for? Who is this for? Do you want to talk about what happened? And sometimes they do. Most of the times they don't.
I just had my first son last December, and she went to emergency C-section, and panicked. She was real frightful, but I was completely calm. I didn't cry when he was born. I was just completely like war mode. Kind of like I had to get a mission done. Maybe I should have cried. My dad told me I would, but my dad hasn't seen the things I have. I've seen a lot of death. And from all the combat I've seen and soldiers that I've lost, over time, it gets easier. That's the thing that frightened me the most. To where if I killed the enemy, I don't even feel it anymore.
That's some dirty ammo. I know, man. I got some in the face.
Kind of hitting all around.
Yep. Yeah, not really accurate, but the first three though were like right next to each other. I was like, oh shit.
A lot of us just don't have, you know, the exposure to actual combat. Like, I've been through combat a couple of times, but in my case, I was just driving a truck. So I just kind of hunkered down and pushed the gas pedal. So I've never actually shot in war. A lot of us don't. But we like to, they expose us as soon as we get into basic training, they give us all kinds of different weapons to shoot, and it's a lot of fun.
This is fun. Shooting in war is not fun.
Yeah.
It's something you have to do to stay alive, you know, to win the war, win the battle. Here it's just fun.
Yes.
You're not shooting at a person. So just a silhouette, it's just a piece of paper. So it's different.
But they're shaped as persons.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is, but it's not, you know, it's not the same
our
thing.
fault that the targets are shaped that way.
Afghanistan. I don't know what province. 4 guys got blown up, from what I understand. I saw it on the unit's Facebook page. If you look up 227 Infantry, 2nd Battalion, 27th Regiment, Wolfhounds, you'll see their Facebook, and you can track what they're doing if you want. I didn't know any of them, but I hate seeing soldiers get killed, particularly when I know they're from my unit, you know? I zeroed in about 6 rounds. I love my country, I do. To be patriotic is to love your country more than yourself. Not many people think of it in terms like that, but if you join the military for any other reason than that, you're probably not going to have a good day. So, if I could have stayed in the Army, I would have, because I did enjoy being an infantryman, carrying a rifle for my country like generations of my family has done for hundreds of years, and I enjoyed it, and there are good parts of it, but as the Army teaches you how to become a casualty, how to be killed, they teach you how to deal with facing death. Osama bin Laden. They don't teach you how to deal with being wounded. And once you are wounded, and you're no further use to the Army, they get rid of you. They warehouse you until you get your medical discharge and go away. When I get pissed off or stressed out, I shoot bullets and I feel better. Simple as that. Whenever I was having a bad day, I go to the range in Iraq and I just dump some rounds down the range. I feel better. It's steel. It's a piece of shrapnel that they dug out of my spine. It's a piece of the bomb. The bomb was, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. A pipe, basically a huge pipe bomb made with homemade explosives. So It wasn't like a mortar or an artillery round or anything. It was entirely homemade. And the Iraqi police helped put the bomb in place. So I don't want to get into the details of what happened in the attack because it's just too much.
What do you mean?
Like the things I saw and, well, because
what?
it's not so much the nature of the attack and the aftermath, it's the reasoning behind making us vulnerable so that we were attacked in the first place. That's what bothers me so much. It's just so stupid. Our brigade commander was concerned that we would scratch the Iraqis' furniture. I'm not kidding. They went on public record saying that, right? That was one of his major concerns because they complained to him that us wearing all our gear and having our weapons, we'd scratch their nice furniture. And they did live pretty nice. You saw a lot of brand new BMWs, brand new Fords, brand new Mitsubishis driving around Iraq. And now, you know, all that money is supposed to be for reconstruction, but it's just being kept and repurposed by people in charge. But they're Arabs, so that's just normal for that part of the world. Yeah, so the Army decided to have key leadership, and what they meant by that was anybody above the rank of E6, like myself, would remove their body armor and weapons and leave them in the vehicles. And this wasn't optional, this was mandatory. It was an order.
And what does it mean, take your body armor off? What are you left with?
Swinging dick? I don't know. Not much. Your confidence, and maybe if you put extra starch in your uniform, that's about it. We're talking about scratch furniture and poor little Iraqis hurt fucking feelings. I don't care. I don't care. If it's a choice between my safety and making Iraqis feel comfortable, I'm gonna choose my safety every goddamn time. Sorry, if that's not politically correct or whatever, I don't care. This is Ambien for sleeping. Muscle relaxer, Flexeril. My muscles twitch. When they get aggravated, which is basically all the time, what's left of my back twitches, and that doesn't feel good, so I take this. I have a prescription for a low-grade dosage of Zoloft, and that keeps me from getting too... I still am able to feel things emotionally, but it doesn't get out of control, so it's just enough to help me get through day to day. I got nothing good to say about the Army. We're product. They literally use that word in official documents. Product. I'm not a cheeseburger. I'm not a pack of cigarettes.
The military, they don't want anyone paying attention to what they're doing. They don't want anybody looking at what's going on. You know, we're all supposed to just look the other way. Most of us do. Most of us aren't paying attention. Even in the military, my experience of being in, like, I wasn't paying attention to people that were struggling with mental health issues. It just wasn't on the, just like, suck it up.
It's gonna say, obviously it says Operation Recovery here, and then underneath it's gonna say, in smaller letters and 7-inch letters, it's gonna say, General Campbell stopped the deployment of traumatized troops. We're trying to get the commander of Fort Hood to realize that this is a severe issue, and we want him to start recognizing that hey, like he just got in office. Why don't we put these issues up on the top of his list of what he needs to get done? So.
Don't you think it's on the top of his list?
No,
I've been a military spouse for 18 years. And I met my husband after he came back from Desert Storm. Every time he came back, he was different. It just got worse and worse with each deployment and stuff. You know, we've had Vietnam vets. We have World War II vets that have said we are not only destroying other countries, but it's destroying our men and women and, you know, our families and even our country. Mm-hmm. When you find out the truth, it's so hard to believe your government does not give a shit about you. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it is devastating to these families that have been in so long and have given their lives to the military and watching their husbands, you know, not being taken care of. And I don't even mean not taken care of. I'm talking about completely ignored, completely humiliated, completely destroyed, used, and then thrown out of the military with no benefits, with no education, everything they promised them, you know, broken bodies, broken minds.
Talking about your own husband also?
Yeah. With him, my oldest, she remembers Dad before the wars. And after each deployment, it got worse to the point where this last deployment, which was what destroyed my marriage, and she's like, that is not my dad. That is not my dad. I don't know who that man is, and I don't even like that man. They lost that bond that they had, and until this day, all these years later, never got it back.
So, I mean, my wife and I go to this party, right? And we go right up to the door, and she turns over to me. She says, look, don't talk about war. You talk about war all the time. Just don't talk about it tonight. I said, okay, fine. So we go in, and I mean, I guess we had a good time and everything, but I mean, I just felt so lonely.
It's hard, but I am happy that I get to be an Army wife because not a lot of people get to do it. It's definitely a privilege and an honor being married to someone who serves the country, so. It's not an easy lifestyle. I had family members who were in the military, so I knew he was going to be gone. I knew I was going to be home alone a lot. You know, if it wasn't for my dog, I just kind of talked to myself. But yeah, I just turned 19 in the picture. So I was young. Just graduated college and went off to get married. This was the day he came home. I took these on my phone, so they're kind of blurry, but this was, when he came home, it was just, he kind of just wanted to sit for a minute and just like, I think soak in the fact that he's not there anymore. He's back in the mainland. He's able to just breathe and not worry about anything exploding behind him. Give me your baby, Joe. Yeah. Right here. Let me see it. Ready? This is a wreath that I made when my husband came home from deployment. The material that you see here is what they call ACUs from their uniforms. These were actually his pants, and he wore them in Iraq. So when he came home, I just thought it was kind of symbolic just to make this wreath, you know, to show he made it home. So the next time he comes home from another deployment, I want to make another one. First time when he came back, it was scary. There was a lot of raging. There was a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, and he drank a lot. My husband used to be one of those people with suicidal thoughts, you know. He talks a lot when he's drunk, and he'll talk about the war and just kind of ramble on, and I let him ramble. Do you need help with anything? Do you need help with anything? Hmm? You don't know?
Yeah, tell me what you want me.
Yes. Is this too tight or no? Is that okay?
It's fine.
He leaves again this summer, and that'll be his second deployment. And he's gone for anywhere from 12 to 15 months at a time. Did you ever talk to Captain Lovelace and make your dentist appointment?
No.
You need to do that before you leave.
No.
We know for sure he's going to Iraq. Do you have plans for lunch? That can change at any minute. He can go to Afghanistan. I'm kind of hoping he stays in Iraq. It's safer. It's somewhat safer. You move slower than anyone I know.
No.
You need your gloves?
What?
Do you need your gloves?
No. Not totally.
Do you have your beret?
Yes.
Well, when you're done, you can stop being rude. Let's get it dressed still. No time for breakfast. I usually make him breakfast in the morning, but he got home kind of late today, so he's probably just gonna go to the DFAC, which is the cafeteria, and eat. It's hard sometimes. Mornings like this. I'm sorry. It's not easy in the mornings usually. Or at night. Or in the middle of the day. Just, he's so busy right now with the training schedule and getting ready to leave, so he's got a lot of stress on him. But, yeah. Shaving cream all over your face. I want a baby before he deploys, because if something were to happen, God forbid, I would have that part of him here with me.
Little boys, little girls. Confusion, some with direction, normal teenage youth thing. See, I get all weepy thinking about them. I see young people trying to find their way in a very wicked world. It's like leading the lambs to slaughter. You know, they don't know. Do I admire them and respect them and have great pride in knowing them and in tattooing? Yes. And I'm gonna cry. Sorry. Because they, They have extremely good intentions in defending freedom, honor, respect, generations that America was founded on. But I think that maybe they're slightly deceived. So it's hard. For me, it's hard as a mother, you know, because I think they're all my kids. How do you prepare for war? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you prepare for that.
Can you talk or is it too painful?
No, I can talk.
What does it
just,
say?
it's a Latin for if you want peace, prepare for war. You want the wiener now? Because you're going to need it.
I don't need no wiener.
We'll see something.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Yeah, what's up?
Have you ever been to war?
Oh, no. We'll be going soon. Yeah. We'll be there. All right, Killeen, go get me.
You just went through war.
I'm 22 years old, you know, and I must have killed 30 people. The same thing that you were given badges for over in Iraq, you know, you would have you considered a serial killer over here, and that's, you know, that's a very weird thought to have running around in your head. In the morning, you know, it's very easy to sort of think bright, happy thoughts and sort of put a correct kind of spin on it. But when it's dark, going to sleep or late at night or tired, it's not as easy.
I won't go more than 3 minutes without thinking about Iraq. Now, it might be a quick thought, it might be a happy thought, because I've had a lot of happy times over there too. But it's always there. You hear the roadside bombs. I've hit 12 of them. Personally, my vehicle, 12 times. When an IED goes off, you react in ways you think are right at the moment. And when it hit our vehicle, I could have swore I heard my gunner start firing, which to me means he had a target. My gunner was very good. He wouldn't make that mistake. And I jumped out of the vehicle and I shot 3 people before any of them realized what was going on. And they started running from us, and I shot, I think, 2 more before my driver grabbed me. And he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that snapped me out of it, and I realized that I was just shooting at people because they were there. This one is my grandfather in Vietnam. He was a pilot.
That's rare that my husband actually smiles. So that's a good one. We have to keep that one out. This is how he normally looks. All serious and businesslike.
That was Afghanistan. Just getting off the airplane. Honestly, I'm guessing this was R&R when I was in Iraq the second time. That's me and my mom.
Well, that's pretty. Where's this at?
That's Bosnia.
Ah, gorgeous.
Bosnia was 6 months. My first trip to Iraq was only 6 months, so that's a year. My second trip to Iraq was a year. My trip to Afghanistan was a year. My last trip was 15 months.
Oh, this was Afghanistan. I was coming back from Afghanistan. And me and my oldest boy, who is now 10, talking to mom or somebody.
I'm very proud that I have been in the military. I'm proud that I've been to war. I'm proud that I have never lost a soldier. I've always brought my soldiers home. The missions we've gone on, and I've killed people that I knew were bad people. Oh, I'm proud as can be. If they're trying to kill me and I kill them first, that's just the way it is. But, however, good people do get hurt. And I've hurt good people. And there's a reason I'm getting out of the Army, retired out.
What's the reason?
I have chronic PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. To be honest with you, I just got out of a mental institution a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I was there for 30 days to help me with my PTSD. And it's from the stuff I've gone through, the stuff I've done in Iraq.
How serious does it have to be before you go to a mental institution?
Pretty serious. All the people in that place with me, they were all military. Everybody else there except me had tried to kill themselves. I was getting ready to go kill other people.
What do you mean, get ready?
I was about to get in my car and drive out and start killing people. Instead, I grabbed my wife and we drove out to the hospital.
How do you know you're getting ready to kill people?
Because the thoughts just kept going through my mind and I was making my plan.
What plan?
At the time, I had a problem with people being happy because I'm not happy most of the time. So I was gonna drive down the road here and find the first person I saw that looked happy, and I was gonna start with them. I was either gonna shoot him, but I doubt that. I probably would have just beat him to death. I don't go places. We kind of stick to this house or our family. That's it. Can't go to unfamiliar buildings. The church is one place I don't feel I have any symptoms. I'm completely comfortable at church. Now, do I still have my gun on me? Yeah, I do.
In church?
Mm-hmm.
Because a radical person, where are they likely to strike? Well, the most vulnerable target, which would be a church, because who would have any kind of protection in a church? Nobody but me.
The worst one for me was cleaning up other people's brains. Like, I can deal with shattered human remains, like pick up someone's heart and you're like, oh. But the brains are different because you don't know if you're holding a piece of someone's memories from when they were a kid, or you don't know if you're holding the piece that remembers being married. You don't remember you're holding the piece that was them being a soldier. You just don't know, and that's the worst for me. Because when you boil it down, the rest of this is nothing but meat and bone. But people don't want to have conversations about that. They want to buy you a beer and give you a clap or a handshake in the airport and be on their merry way, you know? It puts a strain on my marriage for sure. A lot of marriages have been ruined because the wives just don't understand and don't have the capability of understanding. And, their husband gets home and they think, well, the husband's going to help me discipline the kids and take care of the kids, but you end up with 2 or 3 kids and a grown-ass man weeping in the corner, drunk off his ass, cradling a gun. No one teaches anybody how to deal with that, And it also gets back to in the military, it's the John Wayne mentality of you don't show emotion. You're not allowed to admit that you're sad or upset or anything ever. It's not manly. I don't allow myself to become upset because when I do, I don't get a little upset. I get stage 5, DEFCON 1 upset, like pissed at the world, and I just don't trust people at all. I get really angry. I'd love to start slaying people. Would I do that? No. Am I tempted? Yeah. The temptation's there. Oh, yeah.
suicides, post-traumatic stress disorder, military sexual trauma, traumatic brain injury. All right, specialists, take care of yourself. Corporal Ribbon for Memorial Day weekend.
Wow, y'all collecting donations? What y'all doing?
No, we're just passing those out. Today we built a tower, and the tower is based on putting General Campbell accountable to all the suicides that are happening at Fort Hood. So all the soldiers that are not getting the proper treatment that they need, including PTSD, TBI, and MST. And we're gonna leave him accountable for all of these things, now and into the future. We have been trying to talk to General Campbell, to sit down with him. We have given him over 600 emails have been sent to him from our supporters and IBAW members alike. And he has not responded to us at all. As of last fall, there was only one social worker available at all of Fort Hood to handle cases of military sexual trauma. Over 7,000 Fort Hood soldiers were on antidepressants or antipsychotic medications. Fort Hood psychological counselors meet with 4,000 patients every month. The base counseling services are overwhelmed and have to refer many soldiers for counseling off post. Something needs to be changed here.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'm honored to be here today. Today in the presence of so many heroes to our nation and those of you that work to ensure that they are not forgotten. Today is about remembrance for those who have sacrificed so much to ensure our freedoms and way of life. Their service to our nation has made the world a safer place and allows every citizen of this great nation the opportunity to enjoy the fruits of selfless sacrifices. I can think of nothing more honorable than serving your nation. Our military and their families have provided a blanket of freedom that no other nation can parallel. Since the birth of this nation, our military service members have defended the future of freedom at places many have only known as historical markers. Bunker Hill and Yorktown, Gettysburg and Antietam, the trenches of France, Guadalcanal and Normandy, the Korean Peninsula, Vietnam, Kuwait, Afghanistan, and Iraq. And because of the bravery and sacrifices of the heroes we honor and remember today, freedom still reigns.
I'm not worried about me. When I'm over there, I'm not going to be thinking what might happen after. I don't care, like, what the aftermath is, so.
After will come after. That's why it's called After.